Good afternoon and welcome to the Big Gives webinar for charities as an introduction to digital marketing. My name is James Gadsby Peet. I'm Director of Digital at creative agency William Joseph, and I'm here as part of Outreach Digital, who are providing this webinar in partnership with the Big Give. As I say, we're going to be touching on a number of different digital marketing channels which can be useful for you and your charities, no matter what budgets you have at your disposal. We will be talking largely around fundraising, but also in relation to how you can promote the services that you and your organisations provide. If you are looking to find out a bit more information about digital and the world of marketing or user experience or design thinking, then Outreach Digital actually provide a number of meetups, largely in London, all for free, which you can see a full programme of at the web address on screen there, meetup.com/digital. We also provide a level of pro bono advice for charities and social enterprises. If you'd like to reach out on Twitter or find us on Facebook or contact us directly on Meetup, then all the details are there for you to have a look at. We'd love to hear from you. Right, so we're going to kick right into it. We've got quite a lot of ground to cover. We're hoping that we should have about 45 minutes of me showing you through a few examples of how you can make the most of the latest digital marketing tools, and then we've got 15 minutes or so for questions. So please do comment on the Facebook post or send us a tweet or something like that, and we will respond to your questions at the end of the webinar. Before we kick into the actual channels we're going to discuss, I just want to touch on a couple of bits of marketing theory so that we're all on the same foundation. The main bit that we're going to refer to and from during the webinar is this idea of a marketing funnel. I'm sure many of you will have seen something like this before within your organisations or around the internet in various blog posts and things like that. But what this seeks to describe is the role of many marketers and fundraisers within charities. The concept is that your organisation is trying to meet the needs of your customers or your supporters to help move them down this funnel to a point where they want to purchase something if you're in a commercial organisation, or for charities, more often than not, actually support the work that you do. That might be through a donation or through by volunteering or signing up for one of your events. But either way, the idea is that at the top of this funnel, people might have heard about you from a friend or from a news article or from something they've seen on the internet or on social media. And then as they become more and more engaged with you, they will start to consider whether they want to support you, and then they may actually go on to support you. And then once they have done that, our role as marketers or fundraisers is to hopefully give them the right kind of information for them to want to continue supporting you and your cause. So, as I say, our role as marketers is to try and drive people down that funnel, and we have a number of tools at our disposal in order to do so. The three that we're going to talk about as an introduction today are PPC, or pay-per-click advertising, search engine marketing, Facebook adverts, and email. As I say, we're going to have a very light introduction to each of these, hopefully to give you a bit of confidence to start using them if you haven't done so already. And within email, if you are running a basic program, hopefully you'll find some tips to help improve the effectiveness of that channel. So we'll kick straight into pay-per-click ads, or search engine marketing as it's often known as. Now we're going to focus on Google. There are a number of other providers of this, such as Bing, but Google is the one that's most useful for charities due to some things that we'll talk about later on. So just so that everyone's on the same page, this is what I mean when I'm talking about pay-per-click or search engine adverts. They're the adverts that appear at the top of your Google search results page when you're on desktop or on a mobile device. They are very effective at helping once someone has created a search or gone through a search, they're very effective at driving people to areas which they might not have thought of. One of the reasons for that is 40% of people who see those adverts at the top of a search result page don't realise that they're adverts. Now, we can discuss another time whether we think that is right or wrong. However, it's still a fact, and so it's a channel that we need to engage with if we want to drive people to get engaged with our organisations. Now, the reason they're called pay-per-click ads is that you don't pay any money to Google unless someone actually clicks on your advert. So it's in theory free to display them at the top of that search result page, but you don't pay until someone actually clicks on the advert and comes through to your website. Now, the way that you target these adverts is based on the search terms that people are looking for and what they type into Google. And there are two types of terms that we're going to quickly touch on. The first is general terms. So these are very, very broad and signify people who tend to be further up that marketing funnel that we touched on. So in the context of charities, these might be some of the things that people are looking for. See, they're just generally looking to donate to a particular type of charity, but they haven't decided on the actual one that they want to donate or support. A more specific set of search terms or search queries would be what's on the right-hand side. So here you can see they actually name a particular charity that they would like to give to or to engage in their service. So as I say, the general terms tend to be people further up that marketing funnel, and the terms underneath that are a bit further down. What this also means is that there are more people looking for general terms than there are for people who are doing specific queries. And that's important because of the way that Google and pay-per-click adverts are costed and sold. They're sold using what's called an auction model. Now, this is based on exactly as if you were at a furniture auction or an antiques auction. The idea being that Google says, we have this thing to sell, which in this instance is someone looking for to donate to a children's charity. How much would people like to pay for that? If in this instance, there are a lot of people who are looking to who are looking to bid on that, the price will rise quite quickly. If you are in a more specific term, then there are less people who are willing to bid, so the price won't rise in quite the same way. So if you are looking for cheaper and more effective ads, you generally want to be looking at those ones that are further down that funnel in the more specific terms. This is particularly important for charities when they're using the Google Grant product, which we're going to talk a little bit about. So Google Ad Grants, or AdWords for Nonprofits as it's sometimes called often in the States, is an initiative set up by Google where they donate $10,000 a month worth of AdWords or free media to non-profit organizations. Now, this comes with a few restrictions, and the most important one is the maximum amount that you are able to bid in that auction which we mentioned. So that maximum bid is only $2. Now, that might not sound like very much, and in some situations it might not be. For example, in the insurance industry, a cost per click could actually be hundreds of pounds due to the amount of money involved. Realistically, in the charity sector, we don't see anything like that, but some of those more general terms, so donate to a children's charity or something, because there are a lot of large organisations and a lot of medium and small size organisations looking to bid on those search terms, the price can rise quite quickly to £10 to £15 per click. Now that means your bid, what you will pay every time someone clicks on your advert, will not be able to compete if you're just using the Google Ad Grants program. Now that's not a problem because we can, using their tools, very effectively find keywords or search terms which will be under that $2 limit, but it's important that you understand that as we sort of go through this process. Sorry. Now, Google Ad Grants in the UK is run through a website, as you would imagine, and it's run in partnership with a technology trust. So I'm just going to show you here very quickly, if you haven't registered for the Google Ad Grants program, how to do that. So here you are at the Google Grants homepage. We'll send around all of this. We'll send around the presentation with all of its links after the webinar is complete. And here you can find out more information about the Google Grants program. Once you want to apply for that Ad Grants program, you will go through the process on that the Google Grants homepage. The first thing that you will need to do, even before, if possible, you start this process with Google Grants, is go to the Technology Trust's Exchange website. Again, we'll send around the link after the webinar. And this is actually who you need to be accredited by for Google to let you onto the AdWords for Nonprofits program. You go through the process, as you can see here, and complete the forms based on your charity number, and then you add the what they call the TechSoup validation token into the Google Grants form, as you can see on the website there. After that, you'll then be accredited through the Google Grants program and will be able to access that $10,000 per month's worth of advertising. Once that's the case, the system that you want to use to start that up is called AdWords Express. Now, this is a fairly new product from Google, and it's meant for smaller organizations who don't have the time or resource to continually update their AdWords and their PPC work. One of the best things about this is you can essentially spend a bit of time setting everything up and then leave the campaign to run and drive traffic towards your website. So we're just going to do a very quick demonstration of how you would use this product. I've set up a dummy account here, so we're not actually the Greenwich Dog Shelter, but it's exactly the same process as if you were to register through the Google for Nonprofits and Technology Trust program. And you would see this screen. And the first thing you would do is you click on this create an ad button there. And you'll get taken through essentially this wizard, which starts to explain starts to ask you a few questions about what you want your advert to do. First thing to point out as well is that Google actually nowadays have extremely good customer service within the UK. So if you get stuck at any point with this, they will be more than happy to help you by calling the number at the bottom of that screen you can see there. But assuming that we want to carry on with this, we'll answer this question. We'll say most people, I think, will want to be driving people to their website to either donate, enter an event, or perhaps volunteer or get in touch about some of your service. So assuming that that is our goal, that's what we'll pick there. And then you get to the point where you need to, you want to select where your ad is shown. Now, if you remember what we talked about before, the more people we show the ad to, the more it is likely to cost. So you can see here on the right-hand side that actually we've got 20 million people who will be targeted by a London-based advert. Now, for Greenwich Dogs Home, we don't want everyone in all of London. We just want people who are going to be targeted in the southeast area. Now, there's a couple of ways of doing that. You can just add locations within the little browser here, or you can add postcode areas, which is normally the easiest way of doing that. And then on the right hand side you can see that that's updated your audience size to a more effective, more targeted group, which means you're more likely to be able to use that $2 per click bid. So once we've done that, we'll carry on through this, through the process, and you just type in here who you are, what kind of organisation you are. We'll ask you another couple of questions depending on that type of organisation, and you can see here that we can include all of those. Although we wouldn't be obviously doing dogs for sale if we were the Greenwich Dogs Home. You carry on, you can see that audience size continues to get a little bit more focused. So here you'll see once you've gone through that targeting, you can actually look at what your advert will look like. So I'm just going to, as you type in here, the preview on the right hand side updates for you. And then you can also see that final bit here. Then you include your web address. Because we're using a dummy account here, we've got a warning there, but you shouldn't see that. Then you click into this, click into next. You can add a phone number, which Google will drive if people, especially on mobile handsets, can be a very effective way of getting people to engage with you. And if you don't, that's not a problem. Then you'll get to your budget. So $10,000 per month is roughly $8,350 at the moment. And so that's the number you will want to put in there. Now, when you set this up as a not-for-profit, you won't add any payment details into Google AdWords Express. So you will log on through that technology trust system, and you will automatically be credited that $10,000 per month. So if you get to the point, what it actually does is each day it will give you £275 to spend on these ads. And actually, if you use all of that up, then you won't be charged anything. Google will automatically cap it. So you don't need to worry too much about this screen as long as you've got that maximum per month in around about what $10,000 is worth. On the right-hand side of that, you can see how many clicks and calls Google will estimate that you get each month. Now that is an estimation, but it's just to give you a bit of an idea as to what kind of volume of traffic you can see. So once you do all of that, you get to review your advert, the locations that you're looking to target, and the budget that you're looking to set, and you would set that live. Now we're not going to go through that process, but once you do that, you would see another screen that looks very similar to this, which summarizes your adverts, their performance, and allows you to optimize them if you want, or will just continue to run them if you don't have that time. You can set up multiple adverts with multiple targeting and multiple types of messaging if you have the time and resource, or you can just stick to one or two, which will provide the majority of use up the majority of your Google Grants traffic. So that is a quick introduction to pay-per-click search engine marketing. Please, as I said, do leave questions on the Facebook group and Facebook post if you've got any, if you want a bit more detail about any of that, and we'll come round to them as many as we can at the end of the webinar. Now, the next channel we're going to talk about is Facebook. I'm sure many, if not all of you, will be using Facebook for your organizations. We'll have a Facebook page. Now we're just going to go through a few of the bits and pieces and basics of how to actually set up a Facebook marketing campaign. So we're not going to focus on actually the creation of content for Facebook marketing, for Facebook pages themselves. We're going to focus solely on the paid adverts which you see throughout the social network. Now again, just so that we're all on the same page, these are the adverts that I mean when we're talking about Facebook. So they will appear in your newsfeed, both on desktop and mobile. And on your if you're using Facebook on your desktop or laptop computer, they will also appear on the right-hand side, as you can see in that screenshot there. Excuse me. Now, one of the Facebook has been extremely effective for charities that I've worked at, amongst others, Cancer Research UK and Battersea Dogs and Cats Home. And the charity sector has really jumped on board because they are so effective at getting people to explore things that they haven't necessarily considered. The reason for that is, well, the end result of that is that Facebook sits at the top of that marketing funnel, as we talked about. And the reason that is because you and I have all sat at a bus station where we're waiting for our bus to come along, and we are truly browsing through Facebook, looking for things to explore, whether it's from a media publisher, a charity organisation such as yourselves, or anyone, or a number of other places. So, because of that, it's true. It's because it really is one of the last places on the internet where people are browsing. So it's very effective at getting them to explore new things, and such as events or ways to support your charity. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to again use our dummy account of the Greenwich Dog Shelter. I'm going to quickly introduce how you could drive more visits to your website using the Facebook marketing suite. So here we are. We've got, as you come to your Facebook page, you would see this section here, which has got advertise your business underneath it. So again, there's a few options here. Now you can promote your page. However, what I've seen most effective is actually promoting individual posts or using individual adverts to drive people to other parts of the internet, i.e. your website. Now again, as with Google AdWords Express, Facebook have a system that will guide you through all of this type of thing. But unlike Google grants program, you will have to pay for this. There is no Facebook grants program in the same way that Google has it. However, one of the benefits of Facebook adverts is that you can start with a very small budget, as little as £5 per day, and start to see and test whether they are effective for you and your organisation. So here we are, not dissimilar to Google. You can start by looking at the actual advert that you're going to create. Now, obviously, rather than PPC, which are all text-based adverts, Facebook is a very visual medium, and something we want to make the most of is putting an image on our adverts. So we'll put our URL in there, and there are a few different areas that we need to fill in before we could proceed to promote our page or our post in this instance. So as I say, what a lot of organisations have seen Facebook very effective for is driving sign-ups for events or virtual fundraising campaigns such as Cancer Research UK's Dryathlon or Battersea's Muddy Dog Challenge. So that's the kind of advert that we would tend to suggest and promote within Facebook. So we're going to just very quickly mock up what that might look like for our imaginary Greenwich Dogs home. So there's just a slight lag on this, so give us a moment. But here you can see, as with the Google system, when you update the left-hand side, the right-hand side gives you a live preview of what that would look like in both a Facebook newsfeed on desktop and also on mobile. There are limits, character limits on each of these headlines that you can see underneath, just next to that headline area there. And this gives you the ability to select images, upload your own images, use images that you've already had through the Facebook system. So if you are using your page regularly, when you open up this image library, there will be a number of different images that you have used to promote, to drive content as content on your Facebook page. So here we are. And then you can see there that live previews, as many of you will have seen within your own Facebook feeds, allows you to then click and find out more about, in this instance, the Greenwich Muddy Dog Challenge. There are a number of different calls to action that you can use on that right-hand side. So here you might want to put learn more, or you might want to be a bit more punchy and put sign up right now. A relatively new feature on Facebook is the ability to add multiple images within a single advert. If you want to do that, you can just click on that little button there, and that would this allows you to put a carousel of images within the Facebook advert that you are creating. Here it's as simple as confirming and selecting another image, and then Facebook will update the preview you've got on the right hand side. And again, this is exactly as it would appear in someone's newsfeed or on their mobile phone. So you can see a lot of people use that because they are able to take up more screen space, especially on mobile, and sell the event or a campaign that they can promote a little bit more effectively. You can also use videos within these Facebook ads. If you have one, again, attached to your page, it will already have it pre-selected there. We're not going to go through that, but it's very, very simple. It follows the same system as the image upload does. Now, as with the PPC and Google tool, once we've got the campaign creative set up, we need to think about who we want to speak to. So our targeting can vary by advert. So what a lot of people would do within Facebook is have 2 or 3 different types of creative, i.e. imagery, text, and would then put that to different people within the Facebook community. So here we're just going to speak to a very wide group of people and going to, in this instance, target the whole of London. Now, it works pretty similar to PPC. If you do have a smaller group that you're looking to target, that can sometimes be cheaper. But again, when we get to the bottom of this, Facebook will show you how many people are likely to see your advert based on the targeting that you create. So first off, there's the demographic targeting, then there is some location targeting that you add in, and then Facebook's main competitive advantage over other advertising channels is the amount of information it holds on people, which means that you can target people based on their interests, and in fact even more specific than that. So things like, which you can see here under this interest tab here. So naturally, Facebook will actually start to suggest some of the interests that you might want to target. But if you go into this browse section here, you can start to explore all the different types of targeting that you can do. Now, you can even target down based on whether people are mothers or fathers, or if they're part of a larger family, which may well be quite relevant depending on what your supporter profile or campaign targeting wants to be. So do have a look through and have an explore of those interests and those areas that you can target through Facebook. It is one of the main benefits of using this kind of marketing. So once you've done all of that, then you again, as with PPC, will set a daily budget. Now, we will actually be spending this money from your organisation, so only put in what you are happy and willing to spend each day. Underneath that, you can see an estimate for the number of clicks that will get you within that day. So if you click on this button on the right-hand side, you can actually see kind of, if you were to reduce that, if you put in £200 per day up here, which I think it's unlikely we would be doing, but just if we imagine, you can start to see that updates itself underneath there as well. And you can choose how long or a specific date to start and stop these adverts for. So what you may well want to do is have a fairly low budget in there, say something like £20, run the advert for just a single day, which means you will only spend £20, you'll never spend more than is in that daily budget, and see how effective the adverts are, and then maybe make a case for more resource to spend on Facebook. Payment methods here is something that's worth having a look at. So we're using a card, but I know many small organisations often don't have a credit card available. Thankfully, Facebook actually provides a number of different ways of paying for these adverts. The first one, which is probably still the most widely used, is actually using a card. But if you click into this Add Payments Method button here, you can see you can use a credit or debit card, or you can use PayPal, or you can actually set up a direct debit between Facebook and your bank account. So you don't have to use any kind of card processor, and Facebook will take the money directly from your account once you've spent it. Obviously, you need to be quite sure that you are doing the right kind of adverts to give them that kind of responsibility, but it can help anyone who doesn't have a credit card available to still be able to test out Facebook advertising. advertising. So that's just a quick run through of Facebook. Once you are keen to set that live, you press promote, and if Facebook will give you a whole bunch of metrics about how successful your campaign is being, how many times it's being liked, shared or commented and engaged with, and ultimately the main thing that you care about is how many clicks through to your website in this particular instance. Then using your website analytics package, something like Google Analytics, you'll be able to see how many of those people are converting to to sign up for an event or to support your organisation. So, now that we've looked through Facebook and PPC, we're going to spend just a little bit of time looking at email. Now, email is slightly different to Facebook and PPC in that it's not necessarily generating new people for your organisation, but it's actually helping those who you already have a relationship with to either convert to a particular type of support for you, or to, in many cases, just as importantly, give them information about the work that their donation has enabled to happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to take you through a few tips on how you can do how you can make your emails even more effective. Now, there are lots of different ways of sending these types of mass emails. You can see a few of the providers there. What we aren't going to do is get into the details of any individual's platforms, because there are just so many of them that it wouldn't really be a great use of anyone's time. But the tips that we've got here are applicable no matter which actual platform you are using to broadcast your emails. So the first thing is, as I sort of referenced at the beginning, for each email campaign, you want to define a few different things. Firstly, who are you speaking to? Is it an audience who have already supported your organisation, who are, if it's an audience of existing volunteers, the kind of email you want to send them is very different to an audience who may have given you their email address whilst you were in a shopping centre or you met them at an event and they're just looking to begin their relationship with your organisation. As such, for each campaign, you also want to set what's the objective. What are you trying to achieve at the end of it? Are you trying to get people to sign up to something, or are you just trying to give them the information to help them show the effectiveness of your charity? But related to that is, are there any calls to action? Are you trying to get people to go off and do something once they've read that email? It's not always the case. Sometimes you do just want to provide information in the email and leave it at that. However, if you do want to people to click through or go on to another journey, you need to define that right up front. Based on that, you want to work out what are your key measures. What are the main things you want to analyze at the end of it? So it could be click-throughs, it could be opens, it could actually be all the way through to your website to conversions of into an event or onto a set of donation. But either way, it's very important that you work all of that out before you send each campaign. Next up, testing subject lines. Now, we all know email subject lines are incredibly important in terms of getting people to actually look at the email and open the email that you've got in your inbox. Because of that, almost all of the providers that we sort of referenced up here, all of them provide a tool to what's called A/B test these subject lines. So what that will do is they will send out a small batch of emails to one group of people with one subject line, and they will send a small set of emails to another group with another subject line. You can set what percentage they are of your total list. So if you have a list of 100 people, you want to test against 2 pots of 5%. It would only send it to 10 people in total, and then it would roll out the winning version to the rest of your list, to the other 90 people in that instance. It's well worth getting across these kind of tests because they really can change how many opens you get in quite significantly. And until you test, it's almost impossible to know what each of those email campaigns is going to be most effective for getting people to open. Thirdly, make sure you're using pictures. Emails are a great opportunity, just like Facebook, to find images that really sell your organisation and illustrate to people what it is that you do. As you can see here, UNICEF doing such a good job of that. In the middle, you've got a theatre promotions company who are getting even further than that. to really make almost the entire email a big picture of in this instance, Matilda. Now that's a fairly risky strategy because if someone has pictures turned off or they're on a particularly slow internet connection, you might not be able to see anything. But evidently they've decided that risk is worth the benefit of if someone does open that, they have a big image that's illustrating what it is that they're trying to sell. And then finally on that right hand side you've got MailChimp, just using a nice little illustration, which I think is probably actually the best use of pictures here, because even if that image isn't working, the email is still very effective. It just adds a little something to it to illustrate their point they do want to, if you are able to see it. So fourth, the leader text, or the pre-header text as it's often known. This is what's shown largely on mobile devices just underneath the subject line. And in most email clients, it's taken from the first text within your email. So you can see on this example screenshot, some people have done it very well, like Zoopla or Clark's. They've said a little piece of information which helps someone to understand why they would want to open that email. So you get shop, sale, or something like that. What you don't want to do is just leave the having trouble seeing this email or want to open this email in the browser. You don't want that to be the first piece of text on your email, because that won't do anything to help people understand what's in the email and whether they want to open it. So always remember your leader or pre-header text when setting up your campaign. As we talked about in that first point, if you do have calls to action, whether those are getting people to donate or taking a survey or even just keeping me on a mailing list, make sure that they stand out. Here you can see some great examples where the buttons are really clear, and most importantly, whilst these aren't actually mobile examples, the buttons are very easy to press if you're just using a thumb. Many, over 50%, some organisations are seeing 70 to 80% of emails being opened on mobile these days. It's important that when we're designing things like call to action and the entire layout, that they work on mobile as well as possible. So make sure you've got your calls to action set and make sure they're clear on the emails themselves. Another small but important couple of technical points. When you are setting up your emails in those clients, you need to make sure you've got unsubscribe links and mirror links. So mirror links are those ones that we mentioned before. If you can't see this email, click here to open it in a browser, which many people use. And unsubscribe links are allowing people to take themselves off the list that they find themselves on, which means you've emailed them and with information. Now these are important for a couple of reasons. Firstly, you don't want to be emailing people if they don't want to be on your list. Just from a supporter experience perspective, that's not what we want to be doing. But also, if you don't include these kind of links, people like Google or Microsoft Outlook or any of those email providers are much more likely to put you into a spam folder, which means you won't get displayed to the individual that you're emailing whatsoever. So they look out for a couple of these little touches, which are very important to include. This is a great example here from Blue Apron, who are a company in the United States of America who provide meals for people to cook at home who are too busy or don't want to go out and shop. So when coming up with these emails, this is kind of the end result of that first point about making sure you're clear on who your audience and what the objective is of each email. So here on the left and in the middle, that you've got their recruitment emails. They're very short, they've got some very obvious call to actions, and they don't say very much in them whatsoever. They're just trying to give people an offer and get them to click through to sign up for their service. The example on the right is actually their email once you've already signed up for the service, and it's very, very long. We weren't able to fit it all on this one page, but it goes on and on and on and includes almost 20 examples of recipes that people can look at and can select for themselves to cook later on that week. So in that instance, they've done a much deeper email. It's a great example of just saying what they needed to say, saying what they wanted to say, and no more or no less. They've got the confidence to know that when they have people already signed up, they have the ability to send them lots more information than if they're still trying to recruit people when they're a bit further up that marketing funnel that we touched on to begin with. And then finally, or almost finally, a small point about link tracking. All of those systems that we talked about at the top, usually there's an extra step to track the links for people so that you can count them once people click on them into your website or somewhere else. Don't forget that extra step, because otherwise you won't have any idea of how many people, how and where people are interacting with your emails. And then, actually finally, make sure you test your personalization. One of the great things of emails is the ability to change it depending on what you know about a person or a supporter. Make sure when you do that, you have a test list of different emails who have the different attributes you're looking to personalize content based on, because if you don't test that, sometimes you can end up with almost an entirely blank email which people won't see and will only hurt your relationship with the potential supporter. So here's a quick run through of those 9 points around email. There's a couple of really good links underneath there if you're looking for inspiration of email content, of email types and campaigns. Do have a look at them. And if you'd like, share any through Twitter or Facebook that you see in there that you think people on the webinar might find useful. So that's all the content we have across Facebook, PPC and email. The biggive.org.uk are here all year round to help support charities in a number of different ways. The Big Give's Christmas Challenge and Summer Give are two of their two main matched funding campaigns that are available to largely small charities, and really encourage you to get involved. They're great organisations. The Big Give's Christmas Challenge this year raised over £7 million for charities, so it is a great opportunity to get involved and help raise funds for your causes. They also have a number of different other ways to support, such as helping you to find trustees, fundraising around the rest of the year, and other opportunities such as this webinar for you to learn more about how to effectively market and fundraise for your charities. If you go to their website, you can sign up there and find out all the information that you need. So we're just going to take a quick look at any questions we've been asked. If you just bear with us, we will find those. Okay, so we've got a question here from Andrew DeBuck. Andrew, thank you very much for joining us on the webinar. The question is around Facebook and the algorithm and their algorithm, how their changes affect whether people see and react to posts. Recently, Andrew and his team have found that they've had particularly low response rates to posts. Have Facebook done anything in particular to affect this, or is Andrew doing something wrong? Andrew, I'm afraid it's very difficult to tell without having seen your posts whether there's anything in particular that has caused that drop-off. You're absolutely right. Facebook do change their algorithm fairly regularly to change those organic posts. It'd be interesting to understand whether you are driving people to your website, or if it's just general posts that you're looking at. What we'll do is we'll have a little look. If you send through which organisation you work for, we'll have a little look and come back to you and see if there's anything that we can spot very quick. If there's anything quick that we can spot that you might want to change, or potentially other people will maybe comment on the Facebook webinar if they've seen something similar. Okay, thank you very much. So just bear with us. We're just Facebook's catching up with us. Okay, so we've got Lisa Hollingshead asking what is link tracking. So that was on number 8 on our email tips. So Lisa, thanks very much for joining us. Basically, when you add a website link into an email or one of those email clients, such as www.cruk.org, the email like MailChimp can't track it immediately. So they have to redirect it to a link that they can track, and then they take people to the main website that you were intending them to in the first place. Now, some of those will do this automatically, and it may well be that whichever system you're using is doing this automatically, so you don't need to worry about it. And if you're seeing in your reports from MailChimp or whoever it might be that you're getting clicks, then it's absolutely fine. But some of the other ones do actually need you to take an extra step to make sure that those links are tracked and that they can count them. Again, if you want to drop us an email or drop us a tweet with the name of your organisation and what system you're using, we can give you a bit more detailed information about how you might go about that link tracking for the system specifically that you're using. Okay, thanks again for joining us. Yeah. So. Apologies for just having a quick look through all the different questions and comments. One final question I think we've got here from Kate. A/B test. Kate's asked us, how can you A/B test if your data is small? Is it worth it? So I've been in organisations where you've only had a couple of hundred email lists, a couple of hundred people on your email list. I've always found it's worth testing, even if you're testing on 5 or 10 people. It can feel small and it can feel like it isn't making a difference, and realistically it won't make as big a difference as if you do have a list with 100,000 people, but it is still worth it, and I've still seen subject lines change that have driven a fairly high difference in open rate, even based on fairly small list sizes. So yes, for me, I would say it's always worth it. Okay. 1 second, guys. So we're just waiting for the Facebook system to catch up with yourselves. Right. So we've got Giselle Sterry has asked tips for using AdWords and advertising nationwide. Giselle is from a small charity, but UK-wide. So Giselle, for me, I would always make sure, start with your service that you provide ahead of the fundraising, if I'm honest. Whilst fundraising is obviously crucial to the success of our organisations, a lot of the keywords, even the more specific ones, might be above that $2 limit. So make sure you get into look at advertising your services, which tend to be slightly cheaper than some of the fundraising terms. What I would also do is actually probably set up a series of different PPC adverts based on the locations that you do operate in. So in my experience, a lot of even national organisations still have locally focused services that they provide, either in physical locations or largely bricks and mortar kind of thing. So set up a different campaign for each of those locations, and that can again help means that you're speaking to more specific groups of people, even if it's about something nationally, which should again drive down that cost per click that you're seeing within Google Grants. Okay, right. Thanks again for joining us, Giselle. Sarah Dickinson has asked us, how do you find the best words to use / keyword research for PPC so that you know you are using relevant words? That's a great question, Sarah, and actually something that within Google AdWords Express isn't really quite so heavily explored as within the main Google AdWords program. If you type in Google AdWords keyword researcher, Google actually has a whole bunch of different tools that will help you look through those different keywords, those different search terms, and see what the rough cost per clicks might be to see whether you're talking about £15 or £1.50. We haven't gone into that because it's fairly complicated and can be a little bit much if you're just getting started with that. But again, make sure you drop either the Big Give or Outreach Digital a line. We've got lots of different workshops where you can find out more about exactly that kind of thing. Okay, thanks again for joining us. So John Ingham has asked what number of ad grants are available in the UK. John, if I understand your question correctly, as I've seen it, there are no limits for the number of ad grant accounts that Google will create within the UK. They used to have what's called a Google Ad Grants Pro account, which meant if you were a large organisation that was consistently spending all of your $10,000 per month, then you could upgrade to a $40,000 per month kind of grant. They've stopped doing that altogether, as I understand it. But the $10,000 per month, I haven't seen any indication that there's any limit on it at all. So if you can apply and if you can be successful, which you should be if you're a registered charity, then that would be enough. They should come back to you and make that available to yourselves. Okay, great. Thanks again for joining us, John. We've got a question from the Northamptonshire Community Foundation. Thanks very much for joining us, guys. They're asking about .mailer. They use .mailer for their email campaigns, and they're finding that a lot of their emails go to the recipient's spam folder. What tips can we give from stopping that or reducing the risk? Well, as I mentioned, guys, a couple of the tips that we already talked about, things like unsubscribe links and mirror links, can be really helpful for that. So make sure you're including all of those. Then another way can be to try and, rather than sending one email to your entire list, try and break down your list into slightly smaller segments. So one of the reasons that you might be going into spam folders is you could be using old data or people who haven't engaged with you for a little bit of a long time. So you want to kind of try and start with those people who are more engaged and get your emails to them as quickly as possible. So start with them, and then you can kind of build your reputation with those email providers, and then you can start to expand out to the rest of your list. And so it will see that you're a trusted kind of communicator, if you like. There are some other things in terms of verifying your domain and with .mailer, who they should be able to help you out with if they haven't done already. So it's important, for example, that if they can, your emails come from your Northamptonshire Community Foundation website domain. There's a couple of other bits and pieces like that, which, as I say, is quite specific to the platform that you're on. We'll try and post some more information about deliverability because it's a huge topic, and again, one which Outreach Digital and Big Give both have a fair amount of content on. We'll send that through in the comments of the webinar. Another question we've had from Abigail Jago. Thanks for joining us, Abigail. Abigail is asking us, what do you mean by testing out personalization? So when we're talking about personalization within emails, here you can see some examples of organizations that use personalization really heavily within email. So when some people say personalization, they mean Dear Mr. Gadsby Peet. And it might be as simple as using the first name and second name of the person that you're looking to communicate with. What really good personalization looks like, though, is actually changing the content of an email depending on your relationship with that person. So here you can see the train line, for example. When you buy a ticket through them, they will personalize the information that they give you in that email based on that ticket that you've bought, say up to between Leeds and York, for example. What they will actually also then do within the train line, the next email they send you will largely be about trains to Leeds and York and special offers on that kind of thing. So that kind of level of personalization is really good if you can get to it, if you've got the information to help power that. But that's what we mean by personalization, and that's hopefully why you can see it's so important to test it, because if you get it wrong, it can really, it doesn't look great for you or the organization. Okay. Got a question from Lindsay Wallace on the Facebook page asking us, have you got any tips on how to spend all of the Google monthly allowance? Yes, yes, Lindsay, this is something we see with a lot of organizations actually. Whilst $10,000 per month sounds like a great amount of money, $10,000 a month is a great amount of money, and some organizations actually struggle to get through all of it. So similar to what we were talking about before, to be honest, Lindsay, I would start to look at setting up more and more small campaigns based on specific audiences, either based in terms of location or what they're looking to engage with your organization for. So again, it tends to be easier to do that on the service side rather than the fundraising side, because a lot of fundraising is kind of already set at a higher than $2 per click limit. But I would, as I say, I would be looking to set up smaller and smaller, more and more niche campaigns, adverts, and just grow it, with those little increments every time. But yes, you're not alone in that as a challenge, and it can feel like a long slog to really reach that $10,000 per month limit. We've had a question here from Patrick Rafferty. Thanks for joining us, Patrick. What's our experience in using Twitter for fundraising in the UK? Twitter, in my experience, Twitter as a social kind of organic tool can be really effective with speaking to individual supporters or communicating with people at events, or maybe even high net worth, high value individuals or celebrities, that kind of thing, if you're a large enough charity. In terms of actually using Twitter adverts to drive fundraising, I haven't ever seen them be as effective as Facebook ads have been in driving direct sign-ups. What they have been used quite well for in some instances is helping a PR push around a kind of national day or a national event, if you like. To be honest, though, in my experience, that's out of the realm of possibility for a lot of smaller organisations. So I would tend to suggest, if you are a smaller organisation with a limited budget looking to test things out, start with Facebook marketing adverts, and then if you reach the limit of those being successful for you, then look and explore Twitter. But to be honest, even before you do that, I would have a look through Instagram and see if there's any opportunities there, because actually that's where we've also seen success. And because Instagram is owned by Facebook, you can use the same admin suite to put adverts through there as well. So it's not that I don't think Twitter has its place. I just think if I were having to choose where I would test spending my budget first, it would be through Facebook. Okay. We've had a question here from Vicky Wood about any advice for starting on assessing SEO across a website. I think that's a great question, something we see lots of people asking about. There's lots of content on the web about basics for search engine optimization, which is what SEO stands for. There's some really technical bits and pieces about making sure that your things like meta descriptions are effectively put into the head of your website, and you can kind of get checklists on that. Again, we'll try and post some of those on the webinar underneath here as well. Outreach Digital have a great number of SEO clinics that we actually run as well, if you happen to be in London. But the main thing for SEO increasingly is actually creating content which your users and visitors to your website really want to see. So some of the best stuff you can do for SEO now is create content on your website, post it across your social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you might be, and get people clicking in to visit that content. That will help drive and improve more SEO, more of your SEO rankings and that kind of stuff than anything else you can do. Google do have a number of tools for kind of the actual technical assessment stuff. As I say, we'll post some of them on the webinar after we're done. Okay, thanks again for joining us. Just having a look. Right, so we've got another couple of questions to get through, so thanks for sending them through, guys. So Philip, great, thanks for asking this question. Philip said, there is a new small charity, and we're saying that the Google Ads $10,000 is completely free, and they can't afford to accidentally end up with a bill. There's no way, Philip, you won't ever pass your payment information to Google. It is a completely free ad account. There's no way you can end up with a bill of anything like that or of any money whatsoever. It's completely free. You never give them your payment details, so they're never able to charge you, and they wouldn't do anyway. The whole idea is that $10,000 worth of advertising is the way that they give back to charities. So sometimes these things can seem too good to be true. I can assure you it isn't. It's a really, really well-established method that Google have had for 10, 15 years now. It's well worth investigating, and there's no chance that you will end up with a bill from Google for your charity. Okay, I think we've probably got time for one more from the questions that we've had. So we've got Sam Morrison. Sam's asked us, which email marketing service would you recommend? Sam, thanks very much for joining us. It's not really a simple question, to be honest. All of the ones up here are really good services, and it really depends what you as an organization needs. So something like MailChimp, for example, in itself is a really effective platform to set yourself up with if you have the right skills in-house already. So I'm fortunate to know my way around these kind of things, so if I was setting something up right now, MailChimp is the one that I would use. It does also have a huge amount of documentation and information to help you use the tool, but there isn't someone for you to actually speak to if you get stuck with something, or to help you plan your campaigns. People such as Technology Trust and Destra, they will actually help manage the service, your email service for you, and will provide you with personal support to help make your campaigns as effective as possible. So that might be more effective for your organisation, depending on the setup you have. So it really depends what you're looking for. If I'm honest, which I'm sorry is a slightly wishy-washy answer, but it's a big industry which is well worth having a little look around before you make that decision. Okay. So we're going to end it there, guys. Thank you very much for all your questions. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. As I say, please do head to thebiggive.org.uk if you're not already registered for all of their support. And if you are based in London, do pop along to meetup.com/digital for a look at the Outreach Digital events which we've got coming up soon. So thanks very much for joining us, and we will see you again soon. Cheers.